For Lincoln town car, or could we say the yacht car. This would be a model from the 90s, I guess. Executive series. Massive trunk. You really carry a dinner table in there. Four motor USA. Is that 93 somewhere? Yes, it's 93 right there. Calibration. This is the anti-rust treatment. We are in Canada, and we have this huge bench in the front. And one of the things I do really like about these older cars from the actually before 90s, 95 or so, is the three seating front bench. It's a bit tight to sit in there. The car, it's really gigantic from the outside, but inside it's reasonably wide. However, you don't get the impression of huge space forward backward wise. It's enough space for the legs. You can definitely stretch your legs, but the seats are really, they have a relatively low position to the floor. It's not too far from the floor. They are really long seats actually. There is no support, lumbar support. It's not that bad actually. I do feel like, let me just film myself. I do feel like there is, I just feel comfortable. Yeah, I just feel comfortable. I do have problems with my lower back, but it doesn't feel it's supporting the lower back that good, but not that bad either. Although the seat itself, it's really plushy. Well, really, it's plushy, much plushier than compared with what you see in the industry today. And yes, so you could see, perhaps you see the kind of sitting position for a middle person. Perhaps is going to be tight, maybe a child, maybe not a teenager. You have a seat belt, which is only the lower seat belt, so you would smack the dash if you have a crash, but with your head. But it's fun to have your maybe little family sitting in the front and travel all around. And well, I'm in the junkyard, so you can hear the noise outside. Let me just try to close this door so see how quiet it is inside. Not sure if it's gonna close, but so it's definitely quieter. There was some pretty thin insulation material, but I think it's the glass that's thicker, the body panel are thicker, and people don't realize in modern cars that there's insulation around the body, around the wheel wells, but one of the things that really makes a car quieter, it's the thickness of side glass, side windows. If the glass is really thin, it's just one element, it's not going to cut the sound from the outside, and especially sound from the tire as they rub on the street. If you go on a street that was just recently resurfaced with very small surface, you see all of a sudden it's dead quiet. So the glasses are really important, and I can tell it's pretty quiet in here. It's a huge dash. I'm not sure how long it is. And 93, they got an airbag for the passenger, so it's an SRS. Hopefully it's not going to come out today. And also driver side, it's a pretty big car. And again, I just want to emphasize on, when you see this is end of those boats from the 60s, 70s, 80s. It's really the end of it, when Ford or other car makers started to reshape to make them a little bit roundish corners, but all of them have this sort of big front bench. You also have the rear seats, but all of them have the kind of you feel like you're kind of sitting on the floor. You get like a big pillow, you put it on the floor and you sit on it. The floor feels like it's really high. It's not bad. It's a different position. Personally, I would like to be seated higher, but that's how the cars were made back in the day. Just look at the dash a little bit. Perhaps this is going to be the original radio. Obviously the car is not parked. Fuel door, rear defrost, automatic climate control. You may have a clock here. The vents, that's interesting. Just get my bottle off. You will have some controls here. Auto lamp with delay, interesting. It's not very electrical, not very digital. Surely you'll have some lights here. I don't know if the just try to see from now. I cannot see if it's anything digital on there or was purely mechanical cluster. Message center, nice. That's where the lights would be. The hazards. Shifter, nice shifter. I really like this position because it's really clearing the center area here, and you can pass from one side to another one, just like in minivans. The best thing I think about minivans is when you can switch sides, but also the older minivans didn't have this center that center console, so you can really travel into the back of the car. So that was really cool. See if I can depress the brake pedal. No, it doesn't feel like it wants to work. Perhaps it's locked because there's no key, I would say. Yep, fake, pretty sure fake with trims, but there's a door lock like this. That's strange. You have this small tiny armrest here, but good enough, though I would say I find it tiny, really tiny. Also have a middle armrest, which is much better, pretty cushy. Yes, excellent, really nice, really comfy. I think you have a lighter for your cigarette, and yes, this was a smoker guy. Smoker, do you say that, smoker? Interesting headlight. It's, I don't know how you turn it on and off. Maybe there's a button here perhaps, but it does rotate, so you can adjust it. Very interesting. And visor, sun visor, massive sun visor. Let me just go back a little bit with my camera. You can see how large it is, huge. And wow, you can even dim the lights. Very nice vanity mirror. And also there is a second one, a second visor, and because I think Americans, at least back then, they were just pulling very nice ideas and workmanship. You can really bring it all the way here, and it's completely covering the side. Maybe not completely, there's a small check perhaps to see if you are changing lines, but definitely big. And look at this thing, it's sliding. Very nice. You don't see this in Japanese or European cars, at least not that I know. And you have, just try to keep my camera, adjustable seat belt. Great. Just step out, maybe, like Saab Kyle says, shall we? Foot brake, not the best idea, but also have this door lights, very nice. It would illuminate, but I like those older cars that had an underneath light here, which is really illuminating the where you would put your feet when you step out. A nice rubber coat here on the handle. Again, it's executive series. We are in Canada, and we have a cigarette. Do we call this cigarette lighter, or perhaps? Very interesting. That's not a switch. And a nice closing door. Great. This one doesn't open, but you still have an armrest. This car particularly comes with a, I would guess, optional pull and optional mess. But rear space is not that big, it's not that huge. I would guess I could sit in there, but it doesn't look proportionate to the car size, overall car size. Armrest, and you have again these very cool small lights that rotate and also have like a small what's the name for it, or be like a magnifying lamp or something like this, magnifying glass. There's pockets here. What? No, this is not a pocket. No, it's not. It's just where the way is detaching yet. Pretty interesting car, really big again, very, very massive from the outside. I was looking to the suspension work, and it looks really designed to be simple and perhaps also pretty easy to work on it and replace the parts. Huge springs. Interesting idea to keep the engine area protected a little bit. Let's try to open the hood. If I can. It has a big V8 engine. There we go. A pretty massive engine though. I would even say it's a car attached to an engine. This one doesn't look to have much rust on it. It's a bit windy, sorry about this. Let's check the engine oil. But obviously it's going to be a bit empty being a graveyard. Almost look inside the engine. You could definitely put a giraffe inside the engine bay if you'd try a little bit. Big cars, really big cars. End of an era, basically.